My name is Gemma Wells. I'm 32. Last Tuesday at 6:47 a.m., I was standing in my husband Harrison's corner office on the 41st floor of the Chrysler building, staring at a forensic audit report with my sister Sabrina's signature forged across 17 expense authorizations totaling $127,000. You need to let this go. My mother, Patricia's voice crackled through my phone speaker. Sabrina made a mistake. People make mistakes, Gemma. A mistake? My hand tightened around the printed wire transfer receipt. Mom, she used Harrison's corporate American Express to book a $15,000 catering bill for her anniversary party. She claimed it was a client development dinner. There were no clients, just her Instagram followers. You've always been jealous of your sister's success, my mother said. The line I'd heard since I was 14, since Sabrina got the Lexus for her 16th birthday and I got bus fare. DeAndre is doing very well. They don't need to steal from anyone. I pulled up the shell company registration on my laptop. DeAndre's private investment fund is incorporated in Delaware with a $200 filing fee and zero assets. I ran the corporate records this morning, Mom. There's nothing there. How dare you investigate your own family? Patricia's voice went cold. Your father and I raised you better than this. You raised me to find discrepancies in financial statements. That's literally my job. I shut down failing businesses for a living. I find fraud. And now you're turning that poison on your own sister? She exhaled sharply. Sabrina called me crying last night. She said you've been making her feel unwelcome at family gatherings, interrogating her about where she got her Birkin bag. Because it's a $40,000 bag, and 3 months ago she was asking me to co-sign a car loan. Silence. Then, you're already 32 and still obsessing over material things. Must be tough spending Christmas analyzing everyone else's happiness instead of building your own life. The line went dead. I set the phone down carefully on Harrison's mahogany desk. My face burned so hot I could feel my pulse in my temples. Through the window, the morning sun hit the East River, turning it gold. Somewhere 41 floors below, people were buying coffee, hailing cabs, living normal lives where their sisters didn't commit wire fraud using their husband's corporate infrastructure. Before I go on, if stories about standing up for yourself mean something to you, please hit like and subscribe, and tell me in the comments where you're watching from right now and what time is it there. Let me take you back 8 years to the last time I saw my grandmother alive. I was 24, fresh out of my master's program in forensic accounting, sitting in Grandma Rose's kitchen in her cabin upstate. The place smelled like cinnamon and old wood. She'd been baking her famous apple crumble, the one with the crumbly topping that stuck to your teeth in the best way. Come here, little ledger. She used her nickname for me, the one she'd given me when I was 7 and spent an entire summer balancing her checkbook for fun. I need to tell you something. She pulled out a manila envelope unsealed. Inside were property documents, stock certificates with elaborate borders, pages of legal text I didn't understand yet. This cabin goes to you, only you. Her fingers were thin, spotted with age, but steady. Not your parents, not Sabrina. The stocks, too. Don't tell anyone yet. Grandma, I can't. Yes, you can. She touched my cheek. I know what they are, Gemma. I've known for years. Your mother wants things she didn't earn. Your sister learned from her, but you... She smiled. You count things. You make sure the numbers add up. That's why you get this, because you'll protect it. From who? From them. She slid the envelope back into a drawer. When I'm gone, they're going to come after everything. They'll say I promised them things. They'll forge signatures if they have to, but I'm going to make sure you have proof. I didn't understand then. I thought she was being paranoid. She died 6 weeks later. Aneurysm. Fast and painless, the doctor said. The cabin went into probate. My parents hired a lawyer. Sabrina cried at the funeral and told everyone Grandma had promised her the cabin for her future wedding venue. I was too numb to fight. I signed documents I didn't read. I let my father handle everything. That was my first mistake. My second mistake was believing my mother when she said the cabin needed $80,000 in foundation repairs, and the only responsible thing was to sell it. We'll split the proceeds 4 ways, Patricia had said, sitting in the lawyer's office with her cream-colored blazer and pearl earrings. Fair and square. I was 24. I trusted her. The cabin sold for $340,000. I never saw a penny. We had to cover Grandma's medical bills, my father Richard explained 6 months later when I finally asked. The estate was underwater. You understand, Gemma, you're good with numbers. The numbers didn't add up. Medicare had covered the hospital. Grandma had no debt, but every time I brought it up, my mother got migraines, and my father got quiet, and Sabrina said I was making everything about money. So I stopped asking. I got my job at the asset management firm. I met Harrison at a corporate restructuring conference. He was a senior VP at a private equity company, the kind of man who wore Tom Ford suits and remembered the names of everyone's assistants. We got married in a small ceremony. No family drama. Just us. For 3 years, everything was fine. Then last month, Sabrina called me. Gemma! Oh my God, I have the most amazing news! Her voice was breathless, performative. DeAndre and I just bought a house in the Hamptons, $4 million. Can you believe it? I was reviewing a client's bankruptcy filing. I barely registered her words. That's great, Sabrina. We're throwing a New Year's Eve party, black tie. You and Harrison have to come. DeAndre's inviting some very important people, CEOs, investors. It's going to be incredible. We'll see. Harrison's schedule is pretty packed. Gemma, her voice shifted. You've been avoiding family events for years. Mom thinks you resent us. My hand stilled on the keyboard. I don't resent anyone. Then prove it. Come to the party. Show everyone you're happy for us. A pause. Unless you're too busy being bitter. I should have said no. I should have recognized the setup. Instead, I said, send me the address. 2 days later, I was in Harrison's office pulling expense reports for an unrelated audit when I saw it. A $4,200 charge to a Hamptons property management company, corporate retreat booking. December 28th through January 2nd. Same dates as Sabrina's party. I cross-referenced the address. Same property. My sister was throwing her bought a $4 million house party at my husband's corporate retreat location. She didn't own anything. She was using Harrison's company booking and claiming it was hers. I kept digging. Porsche fleet vehicle. Checked out December 15th to D. Morrison, senior consultant. DeAndre Morrison. Not a senior consultant. Not any kind of consultant. Sabrina's husband, who sold nutritional supplements on Instagram. Designer purchases on the corporate card, all coded as client gifts. Hermes, Cartier, Dior, shipping address. Sabrina and DeAndre's apartment in Queens, shell company, fake invoices. Wire transfers to an account in DeAndre's name. It wasn't just theft, it was systematic embezzlement. And then I found the file labeled G. Wells, student loan default. My blood went cold. I clicked it open. There was a loan application from 7 years ago, $40,000. My signature, my social security number. Except I'd never applied for this loan. I'd never even heard of this lending institution. The funds had been dispersed to an account I didn't own. Someone had taken out a loan in my name and pocketed the money. I checked the date. April 2019. I called the lender. The woman on the phone was sympathetic but firm. The loan is currently in default, Ms. Wells. We've been trying to reach you for 18 months. The balance with penalties is now $52,000. I never took out this loan. The application has your signature. Can you send me a copy? It arrived in my email 6 minutes later. The signature wasn't even close to mine. The loops were wrong, the slant was off, but it was close enough that a loan processor wouldn't catch it. I knew that handwriting. I'd seen it on birthday cards my whole life, my mother's handwriting. I sat in that office for 40 minutes, not moving. The sun tracked across the floor. My coffee went cold. Harrison's assistant knocked twice, and I didn't answer. Everything I'd believed about my family for 32 years was a lie. They didn't just take the cabin money. They'd been stealing from me for years, and now they were stealing from my husband's company, using his reputation, his corporate resources, to fund a fake lifestyle that made me look bitter and jealous for questioning it. I pulled up my personal banking records, searched for every anomaly, every unexplained charge, every transfer that didn't make sense. There were 11 small amounts, $200 here, $500 there. Over 8 years, it totaled $18,000, all authorized with my account number but routing to external accounts I'd never opened. I'd assumed they were bank errors, glitches. I'd called customer service, gotten refunds on some, written off others as the price of having accounts. But they weren't glitches, they were systematic theft. And the person with access to my account information was my mother. I'd given her my banking details years ago when she was helping me organize my finances after college. I printed everything: wire confirmations, loan documents, corporate expense reports, fleet vehicle logs, property records showing the Hamptons house was owned by Harrison's company, not Sabrina. I built a case file the way I'd build one for any client facing fraud charges. Except the criminals weren't strangers. They were my family. That night, I showed Harrison everything. He sat at our kitchen table, reading page after page, his expression getting darker. When he finished, he looked up at me. "How long have you known?" "About the corporate stuff? Since this morning. About the rest." My voice cracked. "I'm still finding out." "Gemma." He reached for my hand. "This isn't just fraud. This is identity theft. Wire fraud. If this was anyone else, I'd have called the FBI already. They're my family. They're criminals who happen to share your DNA." He stood up, pacing. "DeAndre has been representing himself as a senior consultant at my firm. He's been taking clients to lunch on our corporate card, telling people he manages a $200 million portfolio. I had a potential investor ask me last week why we were letting junior staff drive Porsches. I didn't know what he was talking about. I can fix this. I can talk to them." Harrison looked at me with something between pity and frustration. "You've been talking to them your whole life. They don't listen, they just take." He was right, but I couldn't accept it yet. I called Sabrina the next morning. "Hey, are you calling about the party? I'm so excited you're coming. I've been working with this amazing event planner." "Sabrina, I need to ask you something." I kept my voice steady, professional, the voice I used with clients. "Did you use Harrison's corporate card to book catering for your anniversary party?" Silence. Then, "What are you talking about?" "A $15,000 charge to Le Bernardin Events, coded as a client development dinner. But there were no clients, just your friends." "Gemma, are you seriously accusing me of—" "I'm asking you a question. This is exactly why no one wants to be around you anymore." Her voice went sharp. "You make everything into an interrogation. You can't just be happy for people." "Answer the question." "I don't have to answer anything. You're not my boss. You're barely my sister anymore." She hung up. I called my mother. Patricia answered on the first ring. "If you're calling to apologize to Sabrina..." "Did you forge my signature on a student loan application in April 2019? Long pause. "Excuse me?" "A $40,000 loan. My name. Your handwriting." "I have no idea what you're talking about." Her voice was ice. "But I'm very concerned about your mental state right now, Gemma. This paranoia, these accusations. Maybe you should talk to someone." "I have the documents." "Then you have forgeries. Someone is clearly trying to come between this family, and you're falling for it." She sighed, theatrical. "I'm going to pray for you, sweetheart. I really am." She hung up too. I sat there with my phone in my hand, shaking. Harrison found me 20 minutes later. "Did they admit it?" "No, they're gaslighting me, making me sound crazy." "Then we go to the police." "And what? Accuse my entire family of fraud based on documents they'll say I fabricated because I'm jealous?" My laugh was bitter. You saw how they handled Grandma's estate. They'll twist this. They'll make me the villain. So you just let them keep stealing? No. I stood up. Something had shifted in my chest, something cold and clear. I let them think they're getting away with it. And then I show up to their party. Harrison frowned. What are you planning? I'm going to do what I do best. I picked up the audit report. I'm going to let the numbers speak for themselves. The next 2 weeks were a masterclass in restraint. Sabrina texted me daily about the party, the dress code, the guest list, the champagne she'd ordered. Every message was a performance of wealth she didn't have. I responded with one-word answers. Great. Sounds nice. See you there. My parents called twice. My father wanted to smooth things over. My mother wanted to make sure I wasn't causing drama at Sabrina's event. I told them I was looking forward to it. I didn't tell them I'd spent every evening building a 40-page audit report with time-stamped evidence, witness statements from Harrison's colleagues, and forensic analysis of every forged signature. I didn't tell them I'd contacted Harrison's legal team and the company's fraud prevention department. I didn't tell them I'd filed a police report for identity theft, with all supporting documentation. I just said, "Of course I'll be there, Mom. I wouldn't miss it." Christmas came and went. Sabrina posted photos of herself in designer loungewear, opening gifts in front of a tree that cost more than my monthly rent. The caption, "Blessed beyond measure." The gifts were from my husband's corporate holiday budget. I'd checked. On December 30th, I got a text from my mother. "Your father and I are so proud of how you've matured. Family is everything." I didn't respond. On December 31st at 6 p.m., Harrison and I got into his Maybach. I wore a black Armani gown I'd bought with my own money, from my own bank account. My hands were steady. My makeup was perfect. Harrison glanced at me as we pulled onto the highway. "Last chance to back out." "I'm not backing out. You know this is going to destroy your relationship with them. They destroyed it years ago." I looked out at the lights of the city disappearing behind us. I just didn't notice because I was too busy apologizing for existing. The drive to the Hamptons took 2 hours. We arrived at 8:14 p.m. The house was spectacular. Georgian colonial, white pillars, sprawling lawn. Lit up like a magazine cover, valets in the driveway, a string quartet playing on the terrace. All of it paid for by Harrison's company. Sabrina met us at the door in a gold sequined gown, champagne glass in hand. "Gemma! Harrison! Oh my God, you made it!" She air-kissed me, her perfume overwhelming. "Welcome to our humble abode." Behind her, the foyer was filled with people, 50, maybe 60 guests. I recognized a few faces from Sabrina's Instagram. None from actual society circles. DeAndre appeared, wearing a tuxedo that fit poorly. "Harrison, brother, come in, come in. Let me give you the tour. I actually designed the interior architecture of this entire level myself." Harrison's expression didn't change. "Did you?" "Absolutely. I've been studying Frank Lloyd Wright, organic architecture, you know, form following function." He gestured broadly. "We're planning to do a full renovation next year, maybe add a west wing." I caught Harrison's eye. He gave me the smallest nod. The performance had begun. We moved through the party. Sabrina introduced me to people as my sister. She works in finance. Not my sister, the corporate liquidator. Not my sister who finds fraud for a living. Just, she works in finance. My mother appeared in a purple silk dress, my father beside her in his best suit. Patricia hugged me, tight and performative. "We're so glad you're here, darling. This is what family looks like when we support each other." "It's quite a house," I said mildly. "Isn't it? DeAndre has done so well. We're very proud." She lowered her voice. "I hope you're taking notes. This could be you someday if you focused less on work and more on building a real life." I smiled. "I'm taking lots of notes, Mom." At 9:30 p.m., Sabrina clinked her champagne glass. The room went quiet. "Everyone, Thank you so much for being here tonight. DeAndre and I are just overwhelmed by your love and support. She pressed a hand to her chest. This house, this life, it's everything we dreamed of. And we couldn't have done it without our amazing family. She looked directly at my parents. They beamed. Special thanks to my parents, Richard and Patricia, who taught us that hard work and integrity pay off. Pause for applause. And to my sister Gemma, who, she gave me a pitying smile, is still figuring out her path. We love you anyway, sis. Polite laughter rippled through the crowd. I didn't react. I just raised my glass slightly and took a sip of champagne. At 10 p.m., then Harrison excused himself to take a call. He stepped outside. At 10:15 p.m., headlights appeared in the driveway. Harrison's Maybach pulled up to the front entrance, driven by his assistant. Harrison himself walked back in through the terrace doors. DeAndre noticed. "Hey man, I thought you were on a call." "I was." Harrison's voice carried across the room. "I was calling my head of security, and my corporate legal team, and the Suffolk County Police Department." The room went silent. Sabrina's smile froze. "What?" Harrison pulled out his phone. "I'm going to ask you a question, DeAndre, and I want you to answer honestly in front of all these people. Do you work for my company?" DeAndre's face went pale. We've discussed consulting opportunities. That's not an answer. Do you have an employment contract with Bedford Atlantic Partners? Well, not formally, but do you have authorization to use company vehicles? Silence. Do you have authorization to charge personal expenses to corporate accounts? DeAndre looked at Sabrina. She looked at my parents. My father started to stand. "Sit down, Richard." Harrison's voice was cold. "Because here's what's going to happen. In about 3 minutes, 2 detectives are going to walk through that door. They're going to ask DeAndre and Sabrina Morrison about wire fraud, embezzlement, and identity theft. And they're going to ask Patricia Wells about forged loan applications." My mother gasped. "How dare you?" "I dare because I have 40 pages of evidence." Harrison nodded to his assistant, who was setting up a laptop and projector. "And I'm going to show everyone here exactly what kind of humble abode you're standing in." The screen lit up behind Sabrina. Page 1. Corporate Expense Report. 17 charges totaling $127,000, all coded as business expenses, all personal. Page 2. Fleet Vehicle Log. Porsche checked out to D. Morrison, Senior Consultant. Photo of DeAndre driving it. Screenshot of his Instagram. New company car. Hashtag Blessed Life. Page 3. Property Records. The Hamptons House. Owner. Bedford Atlantic Partners, LLC. Rental period, December 28th to January 2nd. Corporate retreat booking. Sabrina's champagne glass slipped from her hand. It shattered on the marble floor. "This isn't..." She looked around wildly. "This is our house. We bought it. We have documents." "You have a fake purchase agreement you created in Photoshop." Harrison pulled up another slide. "This is the real deed. My company owns this property. You're standing in my corporate retreat location, throwing a party to convince people you're successful." "DeAndre is successful." Sabrina's voice went shrill. "He runs a private investment fund." "He runs nothing." Another slide. Delaware corporate registration. $200 filing fee. 0 assets. His fund is a shell company with no clients, no capital, and no legitimate business activity. What it does have is a bank account that received $73,000 in wire transfers from my company over the last 8 months. The guests were murmuring now. Someone near the back said, "Oh my God." My mother stood up. "This is absurd. Harrison, you're embarrassing yourself. Gemma has obviously poisoned you against this family." "Gemma didn't poison me against anyone." Harrison pulled up another slide. "But someone did forge her signature on a $40,000 student loan application in April 2019. Someone with access to her social security number and banking information. Someone whose handwriting matches the signature perfectly." The slide showed 2 signatures side by side, mine and my mother's. Below it, the forged loan application. Patricia's face drained of color. That's not. I never. The lending institution has confirmed identity theft charges are being filed. The FBI is investigating wire fraud. And I've personally filed a complaint with the New York Attorney General's office for corporate embezzlement. Harrison looked at DeAndre. You told people you were a senior VP at my firm. You took clients to lunch on corporate cards. You represented yourself as having authority you don't have. That's fraud. DeAndre was shaking. I was just. Sabrina said it would help us network. Don't you dare blame me! Sabrina whirled on him. This was your idea. You said we deserved the lifestyle. You said no one would notice. I said we'd pay it back. With what money? You don't have any money. I don't have any money. We're drowning in debt. The room erupted. Guests pulling out phones, whispered conversations, people edging toward the exits. My father tried one last time. Harrison, let's discuss this privately. As family, I'm sure we can reach an understanding. We're not family. Harrison's voice was final. Family doesn't steal. Family doesn't forge signatures. Family doesn't gaslight someone for 8 years while systematically robbing them blind. He looked at me. I nodded. I stood up, walked to the front of the room. Every eye on me. I want to say something. My voice was calm, measured. I didn't come here for revenge. I came here for truth. I pulled a folded letter from my purse. The paper was yellowed, the handwriting shaky but clear. My grandmother left me a letter. I found it 3 days ago, hidden under the floorboards in her cabin. The cabin you sold without my permission, Mom. The cabin Grandma specifically left to me. I unfolded it, read aloud. Dear Gemma, my little ledger. If you're reading this, then I'm gone, and your family is already doing what I knew they would do. They're telling you the cabin needs repairs. They're telling you the estate is underwater. They're telling you to trust them. Don't. I've been watching them for years. Your mother thinks I'm senile, but I see everything. I know about the money she takes from your accounts. I know about Sabrina's lies. I know they'll come after this cabin the moment I'm gone. The original trust documents are with my attorney, Samuel Chen. His office is at 1247 Madison Avenue. The copy I've left you is incomplete, but it's enough to prove I wanted you to have everything. Inside the cabin's stone fireplace, behind the loose brick on the left side, there's a safe deposit box key. The box is at Hudson Valley Bank, account number 447721B. Inside, original property deed, in your name only. Stock certificates for 10,000 shares of Berkshire Hathaway. Class of stock purchased in 1987. Bank statements showing your mother's unauthorized transfers from my accounts totaling $280,000. Affidavits from 3 witnesses confirming I was of sound mind when I made these decisions. The stocks are worth about $8 million now, maybe more. I didn't tell anyone because I knew they'd fight over it before I was even cold. You're not greedy, Gemma. You're not cold. You're not any of the things they call you. You're the only one who ever visited me just to visit, not to ask for something. The cabin is yours. The money is yours. The life you build is yours. Don't let them take it. All my love, Grandma Rose, your little ledger. The room was dead silent. I folded the letter carefully. I found the safe deposit box 3 days ago. Everything she said was true. The stocks, the statements, the affidavits. I looked at my mother. You didn't just steal the cabin money, Mom. You stole $280,000 from Grandma while she was alive. You convinced her she was confused when she questioned the missing money. You made her think she was losing her mind. Patricia was crying now. I was going to pay it back. You were never going to pay it back. You used it to fund Sabrina's wedding, her apartment deposit, her lifestyle, and when that ran out, you started stealing from me. I turned to Sabrina. You didn't buy this house. You didn't earn any of this. You built a lie so convincing you started believing it yourself. And when I questioned it, you made me the villain. Gemma, please. Sabrina reached for me. I stepped back. I'm not here to forgive you. I'm not here to salvage a relationship that was never real. I'm here because the detectives outside need witness statements, and I wanted all of you to know that I'm done protecting you from the consequences of your choices. The front door opened. Two plainclothes detectives, shields visible. DeAndre Morrison? Sabrina Morrison? We need you to come with us. Chaos. Sabrina screaming. DeAndre trying to run, getting stopped by a detective. My mother collapsing into a chair, sobbing. My father standing frozen, his face gray. Guests streaming out, phones up, recording everything. Harrison took my hand. We should go. We walked out together, past the valets, past the string quartet that had stopped playing, past the champagne fountains and ice sculptures and all the beautiful, expensive lies. In the car, I started shaking. Harrison pulled me close. You did it, he said quietly. I didn't do anything. The evidence did. The evidence you found, the case you built, the courage you had to show up. He kissed my forehead. That was all you. I closed my eyes, let myself cry for the first time in weeks. 3 weeks later, I stood in front of my grandmother's cabin, the real one, the one that had never been sold. Turns out, my parents had forged the sale documents. The cabin had sat empty for 8 years, slowly falling apart because I believed them when they said it was gone. I'd had the locks changed, the windows replaced, the foundation reinforced. No repairs needed, just age. The fireplace cleaned, the loose brick removed, the safe deposit box key exactly where Grandma said it would be. The stocks had been transferred to my name, $8.2 million. The cabin was mine. I sat on the porch steps watching the sun set over the lake. Harrison was inside, making coffee. We'd decided to keep this place, restore it, make it ours. Sabrina and DeAndre were facing charges: corporate fraud, identity theft, wire fraud. Their lawyers were negotiating plea deals. My mother had been arrested for the forged loan. She'd been released on bail, but the case was moving forward. My father had filed for divorce. None of them had called me. I didn't call them either. 6 months later, I was sitting in my new office, not at the asset management firm, but at my own forensic accounting consultancy. Small, focused, mine. My first client was a woman whose brother had stolen her inheritance. My second was a man whose business partner had embezzled $200,000. I helped them the way I'd helped myself, with evidence, with patience, with the understanding that sometimes the people who hurt you most are the ones who taught you to apologize for taking up space. On my desk, a photo of my grandmother, holding me when I was 7, both of us laughing. Behind the frame, tucked safe, her letter. I read it sometimes when I need to remember. You're not greedy. You're not cold. You're the only one who ever visited just to visit. She was right. I hadn't visited her for money or favors or to ask for things. I'd visited because I loved her. And she'd loved me back in the only way that mattered. By protecting me, even after she was gone. If you're watching this and you've ever had to walk away from people who made you smaller to make themselves bigger, type, I chose myself in the comments. Or if you stayed and fought for boundaries with people who didn't respect them, type, I held the line. Both take courage, both are valid. If this story meant something to you, check the description for more stories just like this one. Thank you for being here. Happy New Year. I'm Gemma Wells. I'm 32, and I'm finally done apologizing for counting things that don't add up.